Lovely to see you this morning. So, look, we're talking about heroic failures, whether we celebrate them too much over here in the UK, whether actually we should be championing people like yourself, somebody who refused to give in, refused to be told you couldn't do something, but equally at the same time didn't hit the standard that the people maybe who are winning the events were winning. Theresa May, she's battled on, she's survived 2 votes of no confidence. Eddie, what's your take on this and her position from the perspective of somebody who's been there and lived it, albeit in the world of ski jumping?
I think she's showing tremendous strength. She's in an impossible situation, and I think she should carry on and never give up. And I wouldn't have got anywhere without me, never giving up. No matter how many people told me that I couldn't do it, I still managed to get there in the end. And I think Theresa May is doing fantastically well.
You were mocked, Eddie. You were told that you were rubbish, you were hopeless. And anybody that's seen the film will know what you went through to get to where you got to. Were there ever any points where you thought, do you know what, it's just not worth it?
No, in fact, the more that people told me that I couldn't do it, the more that inspired me to prove them wrong. And finally, I did it and proved everybody wrong. And I think Theresa May should carry on and do exactly the same. Never give up, keep going, keep trying, and keep getting out there, and never give up.
We're joined now by world champion swimmer Mark Foster and Eleanor Mills from the Sunday Times, who was interviewed the Prime Minister and seen that resilience and spirit
yes.
close up. Or actually, is she just deluded, Eleanor, and she should realise she's not the person for the job? Are we celebrating resilience at the expense of success?
Well, looking at Eddie the Eagle, of course, there's something fantastic about the plucky underdog who keeps
But that
going.
wasn't the future of the country, was it?
No, that's what I was going to say. So I think that when we're in a really serious spot, which we are now, people's jobs, lives, depending on it, Theresa May's already had 2 years to try and find a consensus, to find a deal, to try and make this happen. That's not her key quality as a politician, building consensus. She's very good at, I'm going here alone, I'm very dogged, I'm doing my thing, people are going to have to come with me. But they don't, and they haven't. She's had a catastrophically historic defeat. No one has lost by such a massive margin in the whole history of the House of Commons. That has to tell her that something is going wrong and that maybe somebody else is required to actually finish the job and find a deal that might get through Parliament.
Interestingly, it might not be the future of the country at stake, but one of Eddie's points just then was the more he was told he couldn't do something, the more resilient he got and the more belligerent, the more he wanted to prove that he could. She has always said she's come into this job to deliver Brexit. She's adamant that she is going to deliver Brexit.
Even the Iron Lady, who is famous for going on and on, realised at some point that the game was up. What's required now is somebody who can build a consensus, who can bring a new kind of thinking together within Parliament to find a deal that actually could get through the House of Commons, or we're going to end up in this terrible kind of stalemate, stasis for longer.
Mark,
and it's just not the right strategy at the moment.
A former Prime Minister and hero, Winston Churchill,
I thought you meant Mark.
Said
He's definitely a hero.
Said success is going from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm, and I think that sort of slightly marks Theresa May out at the moment.
Man is just doing the same thing over and over and over again and getting the same result.
Yeah.
But I think the thing is she's not doing the same thing over and over and over again in terms of she tries one thing, that doesn't work, she tries another thing, that doesn't work, and she's going to continue. A bit like Thomas Edison with the light bulb. I mean, I think the thing is, as you said, she said she'd deliver Brexit, so she's continually trying. But I think the thing is, in this one, and I'm not a politician, I know a little bit about politics, but is it a poison chalice? Whatever she does, whatever anybody does, it's going to be a bad divorce.
I think the thing is, if you're in a world-class competition, there is clearly one goal, that's to get a gold medal.
Yeah.
If you're trying to deliver Brexit, when 17.4 million people might have voted for Brexit for 17.4 million different reasons, it's quite hard to deliver what every single person
but at least in
wanted.
terms of she's
I mean, we even saw Barry Gardiner from the Labour Party committed to delivering Brexit, very different from Jacob Rees-Mogg from the European Research Group.
I think a lot of people give up on things too easy. All right, she happens to be the Prime Minister of the country, probably the most important person, but in the firing line every single day. I mean, for me as an athlete, I got to 21, swimming was a young person's sport. I nearly retired and a friend of the family backed me for 6 months. I made the Olympic team, I became world champion. If it hadn't been for that moment, if I hadn't continued or had someone to back me or the right people around me, maybe that's the other thing, it's not the right people around her advising them, and I don't know the ins and outs of politics.
Well, she's won the Conservative Party confidence vote. She's won the
well, she won the confidence vote because there's a majority amongst the Tories and the DUP, and they don't want a Corbyn government.
Yeah.
So through gritted teeth, she won a confidence vote by a not massive margin. But there's a wonderful line in Pride and Prejudice, which is, "My dear, you have delighted us long enough," when Mary is playing the piano. And I think that there's a point where she has gone as far as she can go. And if we're going to get any kind of a shift on any of this, it has to go. And even Arsene Wenger finally went from Arsenal. But she needs to now admit that the game's up. Yeah. And there's a point where, as a real leader, you've got to be strong enough to say that you've got to go.
Ellen, do you think there are members of her cabinet who will now put pressure on her?
She is having pressure put on her all over the place.
But also 2 months away from the finish line.
No, but she has to do something different. She's shown for 2 years she's been pursuing a strategy which was never going to get through the House of Commons. Everybody knew that.
As you say, if you were 2 yards from the finish line, you wouldn't give up, would you?
I mean, in a football season, if you were 2 months away, the club wouldn't get rid of the person. They let them see the end of the season, they get someone new in.
No, but we're now talking about possible Brexit going on, transition going on until 2020.
It's like a hard Brexit. Eleanor, lovely to see you. Mark, and also Eddie, who is in the Alps. He's having a lovely day.